friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jamie, and last week we talked about an introduction to the Sunrise program. Today I just want to tell you a little bit more about our specific story with the Sunrise program. Yeah, I've kind of got no notes. I'm kind of doing this like we're just hanging out and having some coffee or tea, and hopefully it'll all make sense in the end. Again, I am not specifically affiliated or being sponsored or getting any money from the Autism Treatment Center of America. This is just me after having gotten permission to share our story, and I can't talk enough about how pleased I am with the changes that have been made with Darrion, what he's more confident by directly because of the therapies and the treatment that Darrion has received through the things I've learned through the Sunrise program and the Autism Treatment Center of America. So I might link down below. There's a movie done in the, I want to say 80s, 90s, of how the Sunrise program came to be. It's a really interesting story if you haven't watched it. And yeah, I'll just put that down below in the description box. So we heard about the Sunrise program specifically when our homeschool story happened. If you haven't watched that, go back to our video section. You'll find our homeschool section, part 1 and part 2. And the way God kind of does things, I am a believer. And the programs or all the school boards I could have chosen, I chose one, and the facilitator that was helping me, her son had autism, and she was the first one that I talked to, and she was telling me about the Sunrise program and how her son had benefited from it and was now in college, which if you heard our ceiling for Darrion, our prognosis was he was going to stock shelves. And so even the idea of him going to college was like, oh my goodness, that would be so awesome and so beyond what we've been told for him. And so that kind of gave me the impetus to look more. And then the first year, like I said, I was trying not to go off book too much, but at the same time kept meeting the roadblock of his autism. I was kind of forcing him to do the schoolwork, forcing him to attempt to do this, that, or the other thing, and he mostly just tolerated the hour and a half, 2 hours we did school. On occasion, we would be doing school for because he was like, nope, I'm not going to do this. And I was like, yep, you are, because I really need to push you and not just let you, do your ism all day. A stim is another word for it. I'm not going to just let you do that. You have to do these things. And, kids can be by nature lazy or put off things just like adults do. And so there were days where it was a real struggle. And then what I talked about in the videos in between our autism story and our homeschool story was our facilitated communication. And I really, I'm not sure if the pencil in his hand is a sensory issue or what the deal was, but he really was bound and determined even after it was like, I was so excited because he was writing the date and his name with the pencil all by himself. I was over there and I'm like, woo! I was thinking maybe April, and then he realized it was like, oh my goodness, you're not going to help me with this ever again. And he reverted right back to the, you need to hold my hand or you need to hold the pencil. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it took me that whole year to slowly crawl up his hand to get back to his elbow. It was so frustrating. So I realized pretty quick after that school year that I really needed to have something that treated his autism, or a therapy that I was in charge of, because again, I live in a place where there's not a lot of ABA therapy available, which is the big one that you always hear about. I didn't have even a speech pathologist. We have a revolving door of speech pathologists at our hospital. They do not stay. And so you can't even, like my daughter who has an S lisp, we can't get that progressed at all. So it was one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, I need to do this, and trying to figure out something. And so that's when I really looked into it. That's when I watched that video. That's when I read his book and decided that, you know what, it's really, really logically based. They explained things that I didn't really understand, didn't really get right off the bat. Oh, okay, just a minute. So one of the big things that they explained for me, and is something that I struggled to do, is I kept being told through research and different people that I really need to stop his stims. And I found it really difficult to do that simply because he did his stims. And you would try and get him to stop, and he would get more agitated, more frustrated, more upset. And the second he went back to it, he became calm, he was relaxed, and I sat there and I was like, I don't even know why he's doing this. Like, you know, you always wish for there's like a little, you know, ticker tape that tells you what he's thinking up here, because you always wonder what is going on in that head of his. And it was one of those things where I was like, I don't feel comfortable stopping that behavior if I don't understand why, and it agitates him to the nth degree to stop him from doing that. It seems illogical to do that. And so through the program that I shared last week, he actually explains it and talks about it and says, okay, well, they have sensory inputs and it's huge. This is too much, too bright, too loud, too noisy, too everything. And if I go like this, then suddenly my world is reduced and I am taking care of myself. And I'm like, ta-da. Like, there we go. That's why he's doing it. And it's not illogical. It's actually something that should be celebrated and say thank you for doing this, because suddenly, you know, that's why when I stopped him, he was angry and frustrated, because suddenly I'm like, no, you are going to do this, world. And in some ways I did that with school too. I knew that it was stressful, but I was like, I cannot replicate social interaction at home, and so we have to do this, right? And the Sunrise program goes, no, he's not ready. And so that was one of the things, that impetuses that kept me going in looking into it. So when they put out their online program, I actually, because my facilitator knew what the program was and was able to term it correctly for the government, I was actually able to use my homeschool funds to pay for the Sunrise program, online program. And that was what we did all last year. And that's why the 10 months of online program. And it's one of the big things that you start off with right away is eye contact. And I was so thrilled, because the things that we were doing to encourage eye contact really, really worked. And he's still not great at it. It's not something that comes natural to him. But boy, when he initiates it, he's like really, I'm like trying to find my camera, really, really intentional about it. And it's just really exciting to see what he's doing. And you're just like, oh. But those things, like even the explanation for that, the Sunrise program actually kind of teaches you how to teach your kids how to talk. Because I never taught my girls how to talk; they just did. And the idea of trying to teach Darrion where he missed, I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. And so with them saying, well, eye contact is a huge, huge component of talking. Huge component of talking. This thing, when you look at somebody's face with Sienna's eye therapy, they call it ninja vision, you can see people's mouths. So I can say banana, you see how the word is formed, and then suddenly there's a component that you hear the sound, but you also see how it's formed. If you're missing that part, banana, how do you learn how to say that word? So I was really, 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 really excited. And I'm laughing because the Sunrise program videos are way longer than the other ones. But I don't care. This is exciting stuff, and this is stuff that we can really get behind, and we can actually physically do something. Not just drive them to appointments, but actually do something, actually reach them, actually get to know them and love them where they are. That's the other thing that I really loved about the program, is you are saying, wherever you are, my child, girl, boy, I am so thankful to just be with you as you are, and it's okay. Instead of going, you need to do this, you need to stop doing that, you need to do this, you need to do that, stop doing that, you're making a mess. You know, there are times where you're just like, yeah, you cannot smear poo all over everything. Like, roar. Like, there are times for sure. But what I love about this program is it gives you permission, permission to say, I love you, my child. I love you, I love you, I love you. And then let's do things together. Let's look at things together. Let's do these things together. And it is so much fun. And in those times, in those places, there is not the stress. There's not the, you need to do this or be this, you know, and do this. And it gives you a guide. It gives you a guide on how to actually do that, and it teaches you how to be more accepting and more shut out all of that noise that we've been hearing since the diagnosis. Like, it just goes enough, enough, enough. Love your kids. Play with your kids, which again is like, oh, and then once they get certain components, red light, green light, they'll tell you all about it. Once they do those things, then you can start using their loves, their interests to teach them to do more, talk more, do more things. It's really exciting. So we'll talk more next week. Thanks for coming. Love you guys.